students of Standard 10th. We will continue with your chapter, that is the Union Legislature. Last time we had spoken about the basics, about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, composition, tenures and other things. Today we will be talking about part 2, that is the powers and functions of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So let's start with something called as Parliamentary Procedures. Text on your textbook, the definition it is given is a certain formalities which the legislators observe in the parliament as well as in the state legislature is called as parliamentary procedure. In short, it means a procedure which they have to follow in the parliament. Simple. Now we have to understand few words, few concepts related to this parliamentary procedures. So let's first start with something called as oath. Okay, if you already know the definition of what is called as oath. Okay, but before that, let me show you this video. Then we will talk about what happens in the parliament.
श्री प्रताप चंद्र सारंगी जी।
अहम प्रतापचंद्र षडंगी लोकसभायाः सदस्यत्वेन निर्वाचितः निश्चयेन परमेश्वरस्य नाम्ना सपे यदहं विधिना स्थापितं भारतस्य संविधानं प्रति सत्यां श्रद्धां निष्ठां च धारयिष्ये यदहं भारतस्य संपूर्ण प्रभुत्व संपन्नतां अखंडतां च रक्षिष्यामि तथा यत् पदं ग्रहीतुमहमुद्युतोऽस्मि तस्य कर्तव्यानि श्रद्धापूर्वकं निर्वक्ष्यामि।
Before I go to the details of this video, I just want you to focus on the language which he used. So you know the language of debates, interactions which they have in the parliament. Mostly they use Hindi or English, but they are also allowed to use other languages. And one of the languages is Sanskrit, which Mr. Sadargi has used to take the oath. Now, what is an oath? Oath is the promises which the members takes when they are elected. Now when we talk about elected, directly or indirectly, when they have any general elections or the by-elections or midterm elections, the newly elected MP, Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha, they have to take the oath that they will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. Secondly, they would uphold sovereignty, integrity of India. Thirdly, they should also promise that they will be faithfully discharging the duty upon which he or she is about to enter. Now let us try to understand the next concept, quorum. Quorum, definition wise, it is the minimum number of members required to have business in the parliament or any interactions, debates, resolution passing in the parliament. But if their number is less, what happens? Let us try to understand with this video.
ये आपने कबूल किया
सबको हम लेके साथ चलना, सबका साथ सबका विकास। अब ये तो हम चाहते हैं कि सबका साथ सबका विकास, लेकिन आपका विकास होगा कि नहीं ये हम नहीं जानते। वो भी है। Then I will adjourn for the day. Adjourn for. Now, on members, since there is no quorum, even after ringing a quorum bell twice, and therefore I am going to adjourn the House. The House stands adjourned till 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 14th of December 2016.
So, as per the definition of quorum, as per the rules of the quorum, at least 1/10 of the total strength of the members of the parliament should be present. In this video, you can see less than. This is a session from Raj Sabha. Okay, we have Ghulam Nabi Azad, then we have Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Congress and BJP. They were discussing, but what we see is there are very less number of participants over here. So the Honorable Deputy Chairman, that is Mr. Koren, he declared that since we don't have proper numbers, the session was adjourned. Okay, so this is what we call quorum. Now let's try to understand question R. Now question R, when we speak about question R is the first hour of everyday working, asking questions and answering questions. Okay, so it is the debate part which are held every day whenever there is session in the parliament. Now let us try to understand through this video.
Yes, question over. बाद में 12 बजे sure promise दे दूँगी. Question number 61 Sri Rodbal Nagar ji. Question number 60. He is not there. Professor Chogat Rai. He is Sugata Bose. Sorry.
Number 61.
Question number 61. Yes, Minister.
Answer is laid on the table of the House. Madam Speaker, the government won the vote of no confidence on Friday night, but the reply that the Honourable HRD Minister has given us on Monday morning does not inspire much confidence in the future of higher education in our country. The government seems on its way to establishing a higher education commission which will be dominated by bureaucrats rather than academics. My question regarding the transparency in funds disbursement to central universities has gone unanswered. As you know, Madam Speaker, over the last 4 years I have made various suggestions on how to achieve both broad access and excellence in higher education. In our quest for excellence, I urged the government on the floor of this House on 17th July 2014 to invest in 10 of the most promising established universities, both central and state, that may have gone into some decline of late, but can be turned around through visionary leadership and judicious strategic investment.
Okay, so in this video you have seen after the Honorable Speaker of House, Mrs. Mahajan, when she came, she announced the question number, she announced the person who would ask the question, and we also see that the person in charge from the Council of Ministers also declared that he already has submitted the answer. So whenever there is question asked, beforehand the questions are sent, the answers are also sent to the Speaker. Okay, and they have debate in the Parliament on that. Now let's try to understand this concept, that is casting of votes and passing of resolution.
Order. The ayes to the right, 317. The noes to the left, 317.
The numbers being equal, it's my duty to cast my vote. It is not the function of the chair to create a majority on a policy issue where no majority exists amongst the rest of the House. In accordance with precedent, I therefore cast my vote with the noes. The noes have it. Order unlocked.
before I explain what had happened in the video, let me read the definition of resolution as per your textbook. Resolution is a motion through which the House expresses its majority opinion on a matter of public interest. Simple thing, if there is any issue which has to be discussed and any law or any action to be taken, okay, which has to be passed in the parliament, okay, it is called as resolution. Now, how this resolution is passed is that whenever this is discussed, it is put forward, it is put into motion, and the members of the parliament who vote for it, either for or against the resolution. Okay, this system of voting is called as casting vote. Okay, and whichever group gets the majority, either for or for against, yes or no's, okay, will decide the passing or not passing of resolution. Over here, this video belongs to one session which held in British Parliament of House of Commons, that is the lower house, somewhat like the Lok Sabha of India, where the resolution was voted. But the problem over here was that for yes there were 317 votes, and for no's also there were 370 votes. So there was a tie. So during this time, the honorable speaker used her power, and in this case she voted for no. So the resolution was not passed. Now let's go to the next part, that is motion. We will see this video first, then I'll explain what is motion.
Thank you, sir. In these circumstances, it is essential for the centre and the state to work together to ensure that there is minimum damage to life and property, to maintain the federal structure of our constitution also. However, I must point out that the cause of these floods is not completely due to natural causes. These are man-made floods, sir, as we are witnessing in West Bengal. I hold the central government greatly responsible for this mismanagement. Due to heavy rains, water levels in barrages rise, but the sudden release of water without any prior intimation to the state government leads to a flooding situation which is beyond management. In Bengal, some low-lying areas of Labpur in Birbhum district, Purulia, Ghatal in West Midnapur, and Boghat, Arambagh in Hooghly districts have been inundated. This is caused mostly due to the discharge of water by DVC from its barrages without intimation. Even after having a capacity to contain water up to 425 feet in the Panchet Dam, for example, DVC released water from the dam when the level was 417 feet. This can be attributed to the lack of dredging of the river and not removing the encroachments there. This is also happening because the DVC dams have failed to hold water up to their capacity. More so because the central government has failed in its duty to provide funds for dredging and modernization of these barrages. Sir, every year since 2012, the Bengal government has tried to address the problem of not dredging the river to increase the capacity of the reservoir. Even after writing numerous letters to the central government to address the matter at the earliest, no help has been forthcoming. In the Farakka barrage, funds are yet to be released and dredging has not been done even once. In February 2017, a high-level panel was set up by the centre to prepare guidelines for distilling of Ganga, which suggested that shoals from in the front of Farakka should be dredged to address situation. But these recommendations are yet to see the light of the day, sir. This multiplication of causes eventually led to the untold misery of the people of Bengal, 1 minute, sir, which now battled with grave flood-like situation. It was only due to the forethought of our Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee that pre-empire measures were taken so we could bring the situation under control. Measures such as prior warnings to fishermen, setting up control at the State Secretariat Navanno and distributing tarpaulin sheets in all affected areas has saved the lives of lakhs of people in the state. The 11th Planning Commission has recommended a twofold increase in dredging to 298.28 million cubic meters for major ports and 367.18 million cubic meters for non-major ports. The government needs to take immediate action in this regard. The central government needs to take immediate action in this regard, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so before I explain this video, let me read the definition of motion. As per your textbook, motion, any formal proposal made to the House by a member for the purpose of eliciting a decision of the House is called motion. Okay, so any issue which has to be discussed, okay, which is put forward and then even passing a resolution on it, okay, they're putting forward or moving forward any of those issues is called as motion. Now the video which we see is called as call attention motion. This was discussed after in Rajya Sabha when the Honorable Deputy Speaker Mr. Kuren called upon the question, and Dola Sen from All India Trinamool Congress from West Bengal, she told about what are the reasons why there are continuous floods, and she also asked the government to take action on it. So this is one type of motion. Let us talk about other forms of motion which we have. One is motion of thanks. So whenever there is a beginning of fiscal year, the Parliament, the session is held by the President, where the President addresses the Parliament. After this address, okay, discussions, voting, approval, other things are taken place in the Parliament, and that motion on the address of the President of India is called as motion of thanks. Then we have substantive motion. Substantive motion is any general matter which is to be discussed or which the mover, the member of the Parliament wants to bring forward, the issue which the person wants to bring forward. Then we have motion of impeachment. I'll speak about this in detail when we go to the coming slides, but roughly I can say that to impeach the President, Vice President, or persons at very high post related to the government of India, that process is called as impeachment. So the motion which is put forward for impeachment is called as motion of impeachment. Then we have adjournment motion. Adjournment means calling of the meeting or postponing of the meeting is called as adjournment. Adjournment motion takes place when the sessions are going on, but because of some reasons, these sessions are called off for those days. The reasons might be many things. Okay, first there might be some emergency, there might be some accidents which take place where the attention of the executive or the council of ministers should be there. Okay, that time adjournment motion can be put forward. Then we have, let us say, any MP sitting or the ex-MP, okay, they die, adjournment motion is put forward. Then we have any session which is disrupted because of chaos in the Parliament, that time adjournment can be done. And lastly, whenever a speaker feels that circumstances are not favorable for any discussion in the Parliament or in the House, he or she can adjourn the assembly. Okay, if I give that example for the last one, you can see that the previous slide where because of lack of members, the deputy chairman had adjourned the session. Now let's go to the next part, no confidence motion. So whenever the Council of Ministers, they cannot get the confidence, or they have done something work which is not proper, and the the rest of the parliament feel that they have wronged it or they have not done the proper duty, then they have one voting where with majority votes, okay, if these people are not approved, okay, this voting, this motion is called as no confidence motion. Let's try to understand the next part, that is the powers and functions of the parliament. First, legislative power. Legislature, you already know, means powers to make laws. So the parliament has the power to make laws. Now let us try to understand in which fits. Okay, now I will also try to recollect what was taught to you previous years back. So when I speak about the functions of the government, there are subjects which are divided among the state and the union government. So we have the list which is called as Union list, under which 97 subjects are kept, which are controlled, or the laws whichever they have to make are done by the union power, or union government or the central government. Example, military or external affairs or the communication, they are all in the hands of union government. Same way, concurrent list, the list which is controlled by both state as well as union government is called as concurrent list. There are 47 subjects which comes under it. But what happens is that state list, 61 subjects when we speak about, they are under the control of the state legislative assembly, but this does not mean that every time it is under the control of state legislative assembly. They are sometimes controlled by the central government also. When we speak about certain circumstances, let me explain this. Now, there are certain issues which are of national importance. During that time, what happens is that if the motion is passed, if the resolution is passed in the Rajya Sabha with 2/3 of majority, okay, that issue is taken by the central government. Same way, 2 or more states, they have some issues which has to be solved. Okay, during that time, the central government will take control over that, and they will pass a law which is mutually agreed by all the states. Same way, national emergency control comes under central government. Same way, even within the state, okay, if there is any emergency, that time the control goes in the hands of governor, that is in the hands of central government. Same way, when we have international commitments, there are issues which has link with the international commitment, but there are clashes between the state government and the central government. During that time, the central government takes the final decision. Along with that, we have something called as residuary subjects. Any subjects which are not there on the state, union or the concurrent list are called as residuary subjects. Examples like cryptocurrency, cyber attacks, these are the issues are controlled by the Union Legislature. Then let us talk about amendment of Constitution. So any amendment to be made in the Constitution and in other issues also, they are under the powers of Parliament. Now, what happens is that, let us say if they have to make any amendment, any change in the Constitution, either they have to add something or decrease something. During that time, joint session within the joint session of both the houses, sometimes separate sessions are also held. During that time, 2/3 of majority they should get, and once they get that voting with 2/3 of majority, amendment are made in the Constitution. Same way, if there is any changes in the geography of a state, okay, that time also the Constitution is, there is amendment. Now, if they have to change the name of the Constitution, name of the state, that time amendment is done by the central government. Same way, if you have to change in geographical boundaries, like what we had recently, the state of Jammu and Kashmir was made into 2 union territories. During that time also, the amendment was passed. Now there are certain things which we need to know is that amendment when it is passed, many times it is 2/3 majority comes from central government, sometimes with 2/3 majority from this central government, at least half of the legislative assemblies from the state legislative assembly should also ratify that resolution. Okay, so such situations are there. Then we talk about ordinance by president. So any law which is passed by the president without the consent of the parliament is called as ordinance. Now what happens is once it is passed, okay, probably a session is not going on, but within 6 weeks of this ordinance is passed, a session should be held, and once that session is held, it has to be agreed by the parliament. Then we have emergency proclamation. So president declares the emergency, but once it is declared, okay, within 1 month, the parliament has to discuss on it and they must approve this emergency. Now let us talk about the financial power, money matters. Annual budget is discussed every year when we have the budget session, that is mostly in the month of February and March, before the financial year starts in the month of April. This annual budget is discussed in the parliament. They are either agreed or rejected, or sometimes there is something called as vote of cut, that is changes are made. So such things happen during the annual budget. Then we have consolidated funds. Now consolidated funds are the funds which the central government gets either by direct taxes or indirect taxes or loans and the other ways. Now how to spend it, where should they have the expenditures, such things are decided in the parliament. Then we have supplementary budget, any extra thing to be had which is not a part of budget bit extra, so that is also decided by the parliament. Then we have salaries of MPs, salaries to be increased, allowance to be increased, what should be given, what should not be given, discussed in the parliament. Then we have money bill. Now what exactly is money bill, I will explain in your next class when I discuss about how the sessions are held in the parliament. But the thing is that I would like to say is that this discussion is one of the financial power which the which the union parliaments have. Now let us talk about control over executive, so control over the government. Even if you are talking about government, it is the leading parties. They are not just the group which makes the law. It is along with the opposite parties, oppositions, they have to make the law. So passing of resolution, discussion of any issues, such things are in the hands of whole parliament. Either we are talking about Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Then we have right to interpellation. The right of interpellation means questions are had. It is the right of every member of parliament to ask the question, mostly to the council of ministers, why such things issues are going on. So right of interpellation is asking the questions, mostly to the council of ministers. Then we have adjournment motion. I have already discussed about this. I won't go into detail. Now let's go to the next part. Other motion of censures. Censures, when speak about, means to criticize. So any issue which is going on, if there is any action taken by the council of ministers, okay, the opposition and any member of parliament can criticize the person in charge for doing so. One of the examples given on your textbook is passing a resolution of private members' bill against the wishes of government. So this is the example which I give. If the person in charge could not convince the opposition, whoever is asking the question, those people can ask for vote of no confidence. Now let us go for next thing, that is monetary control, monetary money control. So budget, passing of supplementary funds, discussion on expenditure, it is all under the control of Parliament. Then we have judicial power. Judicial power, when we speak about organs of the government, we have legislature, lawmaking, executive, who does the actual work, and we have third part, that is the judicial, judging. So there are certain judiciary powers in the hands of Parliament. That is try to understand impeachment of the president. A president, if found guilty of some unlawful deeds, the president can be impeached by the Parliament. Now this resolution can be put forward by either houses, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, but what happens is that other house should also agree to that. And the passing of this resolution is only done when they have 2/3 of majority votes, both the houses. Okay, once it is done, the president is impeached. Same way, Supreme Court judge, High Court judge, election commissioner, comptrollers, as well as auditor generals are also impeached by the Parliament. Now, what happens over here also? 2/3 of majority votes are required in both the houses, but the motion to be put forward, okay, in the beginning it requires at least the support of 1/4 of the members of the house. If it is from Lok Sabha where it is starting, okay, 1/4 supporters should be a person, the member of the Parliament should have when they put forward this issue. Then we have the next part, that is defamation and contempt of Parliament. Okay, so any issues which are against the Parliament or against the government of India, that is defamation and contempt of Parliament, that is discussed and judging can be done by the Parliament. Same way election functions, we already learned this in the last year's portion when we spoke about how the president, indirect and direct elections are taking place. Okay, so the election of president, vice president, speakers and deputy speakers in Lok Sabha and deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha, the election is done along with the state legislative assembly, the members of central union government. Okay, then we have laws to conduct election. So any election which has to be held, state level, national level, the laws are made. If there is any changes to be made, that is controlled by the Parliament. And with this, we will end today's session. We will continue with the same chapter next time.